Welcome, everyone. I am so excited to do this with all of you. I have been preparing for this class for far too long. I'm just so happy that I finally pulled it all together and that you are here joining me live. So, I have a lot to share with you. The structure of today's call, I'm going to share a bunch of different strategies. I want to start off with the big ideas, and then we're going to drill down to the strategy day by day. And then at the very end, I'm going to be kind of pulling it all together, giving you a summary of this, then this, then this. And then at the very, very end, I'm just going to unmute everyone and we'll just have like a Q&A for those of you that need more guidance around what I've shared tonight. Okay, so you're here because you want to change your body. And I've been in the business of changing bodies for 18 years. So I have a bunch to share on this topic, and it's one that's near and dear to my heart as I have embarked personally on a body recomposition plan over the last 4 years. I've learned a lot from my personal experience, and I've guided many, 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 many women through this process in my various books and YouTube and podcasts and all the places. So, in addition to working with clients. So, the big ideas tonight, we're going to be talking about the metabolic reset. I've put together what I think is a pretty clear roadmap toward this, but some of the big ideas, like if somebody said, Leanne, lay it to me straight, don't worry about hurting my feelings. What's holding me back? What are the big issues? A huge message that I want to kind of start off with, these big ideas. You're probably not eating what you think you're eating. Okay. We need to track our food. We need to understand what we're eating because a lot of the things that we are consuming, we are not fully aware of. If you're in a deficit, if you are tracking all that you're eating and you're in a deficit and you're not losing, um, don't continue to be in a deficit. That's another big idea that we're going to be talking about. Um, you don't want to wait until your body is good enough to go to the gym. I get this message a lot. If I could just lose X pounds, then I'd feel more comfortable going to the gym. I want you to start thinking about stopping the prioritization of other people's thoughts of your body, dictating what you do with your body to obtain the goals that you have that don't impact those people. You're allowing other people to influence the goals that you have of people that you don't know or don't care about you. That's another big idea we're going to be talking about. Chances are, this is a bold statement, but another piece we're going to be talking about is you're likely not training for the body that you want. You're training for your body to be puffy. We're going to be talking about what that looks like, why I see this mistake a lot. Another area, if you said, Leanne, just share it to me straight. You're not going to hurt my feelings. You can push yourself. In fact, I have a lot of conversations where people say, I can't do that. And after I ask a couple of questions, I'm like, sounds like you can. Sounds like you don't want to. Okay. So we're going to go through that in that process. And an idea that I want you to mull over, just as we're talking about tracking and these bigger ideas, is we all know when we go to the grocery store and we're hungry, what do? We choose foods that we don't even need. We're just hungry and we're grabbing everything because we're hungry. We go into the store with a list, we're prepared. Ideally, we've had a snack, so we make ideal choices. The same thing goes for resetting your metabolism. We cannot expect that when you are hungry, it's 5 p.m., you haven't planned dinner, you have no idea what you're going to be eating for dinner, that you're going to make a great dinner and it's going to help you hit your goals, right? It's the same thing. So let's just get right into it. I'm going to go through this presentation that I've prepared for you. And again, I'll summarize everything at the end and then I'll open it up for Q&A. If you have questions as I am going through the presentation, feel free to ask them. If I feel like there is an area that I can, touch on, I will definitely go there. Otherwise, I'll wrap it up at the end, okay? So Like I said, you're here because your body feels stuck. Chances are, in some capacity, something is not working, and I wanna help. So we're going to be talking about the exact framework that I use for women that are 35 plus. This is important because as we're 35 plus, our hormones are changing, our environment is different, we require different things. We want to reset your metabolism without extremes. We want to build and maintain our lean muscle. That's how our metabolism fires and continues to work optimally. That's how our glucose continues to be regulated. We want improved energy, sleep, and hormone balance, and really end this all or nothing cycle where we're like, either I'm going to the gym 5 days a week, getting my 10,000 steps and eating perfectly and tracking everything, or I'm having a pizza and I don't know, going to bed at 2 a.m. and I don't care. So I need you and your body needs you to get off of that whole situation. So we're going to be going through these various steps. One, we're going to start with tracking. We're going to talk about tracking, macro balance, how this works, how to calculate your calories, why it's important, when it's not important, how to move with proper training. If you remember that big idea that I shared at the beginning, you're probably training to maintain puffiness, not training to get lean. And I'm going to talk about how there's differences. We're also going to talk about recovery and why it is absolutely essential for for sleep and recovery and just fully being present with the day. And then lastly, we're going to be talking about how to use peptides in these areas to further process everything that we talked about. So we'll get to that at the very end. So if you're new here, maybe you are, maybe you've never seen this face. My name is Leanne Vogel. I'm a functional medicine practitioner. I studied nutrition in 2007. I have since done so many trainings on blood chemistry, functional blood work, functional medicine, body recomposition training, body lifting, all sorts of things. I love learning. I'm the host of the Healthful Pursuit podcast. I've written a bunch of books on the ketogenic diet. And so when I'm sharing about high fat versus low fat versus high protein, I have a lot of experience guiding women through this over the last 18 years. Okay, tracking. This is the first area that we're going to be focusing on. Why you have to track. I shared this initially. If we go into the grocery store hungry and without a plan, we are going to be getting all sorts of things we don't need. It is the exact same thing with our food. I cannot tell you how many times clients have come to me saying, "I'm not losing weight. Why aren't I losing weight?" And I say, "What are you eating?" And they say, "The same as always. Nothing has changed, like the same as always." Or, "I'm hitting the macros." Well, are you tracking? Well, no. Okay. Even as a seasoned tracker, I track all of my food on my phone. It takes me maybe 3 minutes in the morning to plan my day of what I'm going to eat so I can hit my macros. It's amazing how much more I add to things without even thinking, oh, like a little bit more of this and a little bit more of that. And when I weigh it, I'm like, that is literally double than what I planned. So when your plan isn't working, the first place we need to look at is, what are you eating? So we need to know a couple of areas in this whole realm. We need to know your calories, which is the energy, right? We need to understand the protein, the carb, and the fat, which is your macros. Okay, so we understand that protein and carbs is 4 calories per gram and fat is 9 calories per gram. Then we want to look at fiber. We want to aim for, if we're on carnivore, it's going to be basically 0, which I don't generally support, generally, okay? Up to 35 grams, ideally, when we're doing more of a higher carbohydrate approach and we're training and those sorts of things, I want to see fiber at least 40, 45, sometimes even 50, depending on the goal. And then when we're wanting to recomp our body, which means we want to burn fat and maintain muscle or even build muscle, we do not want to lose more than 0.25 to 0.5 or so pounds a week. If you are wanting that scale to drop further than that, you are losing muscle, which is going to affect absolutely everything. You do not want to lose muscle. It's going to affect your glucose regulation, your sleep, your hormones, your ability to stay on plan. I am telling you, you do not want that. So we want the scale to move and we want it to be fat, which means we want it to be slower. So step number one, when we're talking about tracking, we first need to understand how much food do I need? So we need to calculate a couple of things. You can take a screenshot of this. You can pop in your own numbers, okay? Because it's gonna be hard to do like really quickly because you gotta like convert it to kilograms, which is a pain, right? So we need to figure out your BMR. This is your base metabolic rate. If you laid in bed and literally never got up, you never got out of bed, you were bedridden, this is how many calories you would need. So you times your weight in kilograms by 10, and then you add 6.25 times your centimeter height. Okay. So you remember math class basics, like you multiply the 10 by the kilograms and then the 6.25 by the centimeters, and then that's your total, right? And then you take away the 5 times your age. I'm going to give you an example of this so you're not lost. Okay. But you can even just screenshot this and put this into Chat GPT and be like, figure this out for me. Okay. Then you want to multiply that base metabolic rate by your activity factor, because I would say 100% of us are not bedridden in this call today, right? So if you are mostly seated, you're going to need 20 to 30% more than your base metabolic rate. If you're lightly active, maybe you're getting about 6 to 8,000 steps per day, you're going to want to multiply that by 35 or 40% increase, et cetera, et cetera. Lifting 3 to 4 times a week plus your 8 to 10,000 steps. And then very active is like you have an active job, you're a nurse, plus you're working out, that sort of thing. Okay. Then, okay, step number two, you figured out how many calories you need to maintain your body. The biggest issue I see when we go from step one, like when we do calculate step one, you're calculating it right now. You are, I know you are, and you just came up with a number that's like 2,000 something, and you're like, this has to be wrong. I know that when I look at 1,400 calories, I'm gonna gain weight. How am I supposed to get to 2,000? Your metabolism is broken. And we cannot change our body when we're stuck in a broken metabolism. Maybe that's another big idea. We'll get there. So we need to choose our calorie target. Okay. So when we calculate our initial calorie intake using step number one, we're going to go over here and we're going to determine what do we want to do? Are we in an area that we want to gain muscle and recomp our body? If you want to make your biceps pop, if you want to look at six-pack abs, the way through that initially is not to be in a deficit. It's to be in maintenance. So if you do not want to gain muscle, and muscle is not a goal of yours because you've been working on it for years and years and years, and you're ready to show off the muscle that you have made, then you want to be in a deficit. Now, the smaller the deficit, okay, so let's say your calories are 2,000 per day, and you're like, I want to show off my abs, but I don't want to lose my abs in the process because then there's nothing to show off. Okay, then we would want to be in a small deficit so that we maintain our muscle mass. Again, we do not want to see the scale drop low. In fact, I was doing an assessment of my weight loss over the last 6 months. And over the last 6 months, I have lost 7 pounds. That is absolutely perfect. That is perfect. That is perfect. Now, is it really frustrating in the month when I've lost 1 pound? Absolutely, it is. If you look at the whole month and you're like, on average, I've lost 1 pound. That is frustrating. But when I do a body recomposition scan and I check for muscle, I've maintained all of my muscle through that whole process. That's what we want. Okay. You can choose a deficit or you can choose to gain muscle and recomp. Okay. So we can be in maintenance. Again, step number one is your maintenance. We can be at this level and see massive changes to our body eating at maintenance. Okay, so now that we know how many calories we need to be in maintenance, now we've chosen either option A is fat loss or option B is muscle gain and recomposition. Now we get to figure out, I have the calorie amount. Let's keep it at 2,000 to keep it easy. Now I need to set my protein amount. Okay, so if I weigh 150 pounds, I want about 150 grams of protein in the day. This does not change whether you are paleo, vegan, vegan's going to be hard to do at 150 grams of protein, vegan, vegetarian, keto, whatever, paleo, whatever. Okay. You set your protein. This is the amount of protein you need. It does not matter what diet you choose. This is how much protein you need, period. Okay. Then you set your fat. So we can do a moderate fat approach or we can do a higher fat approach. A big issue that I see for women that are doing a high fat approach, okay, is that let's say a woman weighs, I'm going to do the math real quick for you, 150 pounds, okay, and she's eating a ketogenic diet. The highest amount of fat that we would want her on is 75 grams. Okay, let's do it again on 200 pounds. A woman that is 200 pounds on a ketogenic or high fat diet, the most we would want her on is 100 grams of fat. Okay, so that's way less than what I see most women eating. And we're thinking that we're doing well for our bodies. We're not tracking, we're adding fat to everything, and we are blowing past what's required. And then we're getting frustrated because our body's not changing. We're just eating too much fat and we're still so hungry because there's not enough volume. Do you see the problem? Step number 5 in determining your macros is your carbs. So carbs makes up the remainder. So whatever you have left over in your calories is made up of the carbs, okay? One of the questions coming in is base protein on current weight or target weight? That's a great question. I like to do it on current weight, but if you are over 200 pounds, I like to do it, okay, pay attention. I like to do it of your height in centimeters. Okay, so I know this number for myself. I'm 5'10", which means I'm 177 centimeters. If I were over 200 pounds, my goal of my protein would be 177 grams of protein. Okay. Okay, so let's like pull it together with an example. A 42-year-old woman at 165 centimeters and 160 pounds, which is 72 kilograms. We're going to calculate her BMR. You can see that's a calculation in step 1. Then we're going to multiply it by her activity. And then we've decided, okay, she's been eating at, let's just say she's tracked her food for the last couple of months. She's eating at 2,300 calories average per day. Your girl's ready for a deficit. She's been eating in a surplus. She's good to go. So she decides that she wants to move toward a 20% deficit. So her calories are going to be 1,600, and I'm probably going to suggest that she take her time moving down to there to go from the 2,300 surplus that she's eating down to 1,600. There is so much opportunity to lose fat in there without going from 2,300 to 1,600 overnight. Okay, so we're slowly going to move down by 100 calories every week, and she's going to see the scale go down quite quickly. Okay, there's no need to go from super, super high to super low overnight, but let's calculate it out for her 1,600 calories. Her protein, she decided that she wanted to do like a moderate protein approach at 0.8 grams per pound. So she's going to eat 128 grams of protein. For fat, she's going to do 3 grams per pound. So that's 48 grams of fat. And so her carbs are going to be 166 grams of carbs. There's another question. Is there a minimum number of carbs we need? I've heard 150 to 200 grams based on bioenergetic approach for brain health. So this is very custom to the individual. Myself personally, because I lift, I know that I need at least 150 to 200 a day. If you are not lifting, let's just go back to the TEE and I'll explain this a little bit more. TDEE, I should say. So if you're mostly seated, I don't think you need a significant amount of carbohydrates. And we still want to make sure that when we go through this fat approach, we're going to choose the higher fat approach and anything left over is going to go to carbs. I wouldn't do more than 0.5 grams of fat per pound. Okay. That makes sense. So protein distribution, let's talk about it. Okay, so in this example, this 42-year-old woman, let's call her Susan. Susan has decided that her macros are going to be 128 grams of protein, 48 grams of fat, and 166 grams of carbs. Okay, so the protein distribution is important. Muscle protein synthesis is how our body continues to maintain muscle maintenance, especially when we are in a deficit. Muscle protein synthesis is absolutely essential and gets harder and harder for our bodies to do with age. So we want to really stay on top of it. So it's really essential to make sure that our protein is distributed throughout the day, or we do one like big set of protein. Okay. So ideally, with this example of 128 grams of protein per day, if she's having, say, let me grab my calculator again. I keep closing it. Okay, 128 grams of protein. Say she's doing 4 meals, then her meals would be around 30 grams of protein for those 4 meals, right? So in this example of 130-gram target, 3 meals would be 45, 45, 40. 4 meals would be 35, 35, 30, 30. Do you see? Like you're separating it out. And this helps you plan your meals and it helps you understand how to balance your macros when you're out and about in the day and choosing things at restaurants, or if you're on a cruise ship or in a holiday, you kind of start to understand this is what my plate looks like. Okay, so if we are calculating out our BMR and it's at like 2,500 and we're eating like half of that and we're maintaining at half of that, it's absolutely essential that we try to get up to that maintenance amount. We start moving more, we get up to that maintenance amount because you're stuck. If you're at 1,200 calories, and your maintenance amount is 2,500 calories, your metabolism is busted up. So we need to kind of, what I like to call it is, putting a pause in the program. You can't lose weight when you are in a 1,300 calorie deficit. If it's not working for you now, it's not going to work for you tomorrow or the next day. We need to ramp up to maintenance, move more. And I have seen, and we're going to get to this at the very end of the call, I have seen peptides do a great job at this to revving up that metabolism, assisting with muscle protein synthesis and allowing us to get up to maintenance so we can start to recomp. You're not building muscle when you're in a 1,300 calorie deficit. You're not able to support basic functions of your body. So the very act that's keeping you stuck is the act that's keeping you stuck. The lack of food is causing your hormones to dysregulate, is causing your sleep to suck, is causing your HRV to be low, is causing your recovery to be terrible. Your body is prioritizing base functions, and that's stopping you from being able to lose the weight, and you need to eat more to lose the weight, but you can't because your metabolism is stuck. And so we need to start working our way up to that higher amount. And my suggestion is 100-calorie increase every week. So say you're at 1,300 calories this week, then you're at 1,400 calories, then 15, then 16, then 17. And all of a sudden your hormones are better, and then 18, and then you're sleeping better, and then 19, you have energy to go to the gym. And 2,000, now all of a sudden you're lifting and feeling great. You have to get out of that rigmarole because it's keeping you stuck and there's no way out of it than up. Okay. So let's talk about some of the strategies that I use in tracking, because when I start talking about calories and macros and people are like, I have done this so many times. If I have to track one more meal, it does not even work. Like this is not working. So, first, we need to set our calorie and macro goals, which we talked about. 2, we need to turn off our exercise and calorie adjustments. So when we put in details in MyFitnessPal, oftentimes it'll say, well, you worked out for 2 hours, therefore reduce this by 500. No, no, don't touch that. Just like turn it off. You've already calculated all of that. Ignore what MyFitnessPal has to say to you. Then I want you to log in grams. A lot of people will just like look at their plate and be like, yeah, I guess this is like 20 grams of fat and 50 grams of carbs and 40 grams of protein. Meanwhile, it's like 70 grams of fat and 20 grams of protein and 200 grams of carbs. Like it's totally backwards. So we need to log in grams and we need to track our food and we need to use total carbs, not net carbs. Now, as you start to track, your foods are saved. Literally, I go on a walk with my dogs in the morning. I open up my MyFitnessPal and I just start adding the meals and the foods that I eat. Okay. And then by the time I get home, it takes me 3 to 5 minutes in the morning. All my favorite foods, boop, boop, beep, boop, boop. Oh, this is too much in carbs. I'll remove that. I'll add this. Okay, now I have my plan for the day. And I just copy and paste. Oh, I liked yesterday. Copy and paste, copy and paste, copy and paste. Oh, I got new groceries. Okay, instead of kale, I'll add collards. I personally use MyFitnessPal. I love it. I find it to be the easiest for logging, the easiest to save. I do have the upgraded premium version. It's worth every penny. I love it so much. I personally love it. I love it. There's nothing I have negative to say about this. Okay, so here are a couple of ways that you can kind of get a sense of the daily logging. Okay, so a big tip. Let's pretend this is a scale, right? This is a scale and this is my yogurt. I'm going to put my entire yogurt on the scale. I'm going to zero out the scale. Then I'm going to take my yogurt and I'm going to put it in the bowl, which is my mouth. Then I'm going to put this back and hey, there's 10 grams of yogurt missing from this. So I just put 10 grams in my bowl. Way easier to track this way. Okay, way easier. Save your plates as meals, create custom foods. Okay, copy your meals, verify the database entries. I find a lot of errors and people just like, yeah, that kale was that kale. And then I look at it and I'm like, this kale has 50 grams of protein. This is wrong. So just like looking through it. So those are some of the strategies that I like to use. Okay, now you're getting overwhelmed with, but like there's so many ingredients in my meals and how do I track it all? And this is very confusing. If you follow me on Instagram at Leanne Vogel, I have two highlights on my Instagram called meals. I think it's meals. Okay. You'll notice all my meals are made with 5 different ingredients. So, for example, what did I have tonight? I had a steak with sauteed onions and kale. And then I had a bowl of popcorn that I made 40 grams of popcorn with 5 grams of olive oil and some salt. That was very easy for me to track. The minute I start adding recipes and craziness, it is overwhelming, not only for planning, but also for preparing. No, thank you. No, absolutely not. You, if the goal is to keep things simple, let's keep things simple. If the goal is to maintain consistency, let's maintain consistency by keeping it simple. Do you know what I'm saying? And so here are some examples. You want to build your place with protein, carb, veg, and some sort of flavor. Easy. Seriously, what did I have? In fact, let's go through my day of eating because I have it right here and I'll give you some examples just for my day. My post workout. My post workout was boiled chicken breast. You know I love my boiled chicken breast. A russet potato, a kiwi, pomegranate seeds, and arugula. That's all on a plate. That's what I had as my post workout. Oh, I had a really good snack today. It was more pomegranate seeds because your girl's got pomegranate seeds at home. Boiled chicken breast, gluten-free bread, 2 eggs, and some yogurt. Okay, so obviously I put the yogurt with the seeds and then I made 2 eggs. I put it on the bread and then I just ate the chicken as it was. I think I put some hot sauce on it. Easy, simple, simple foods, faster tracking, better on your digestion, easier to plan, easier to prepare, easy. Like just let's keep it super easy. And we get overwhelmed when we're making all these recipes and check. I don't know how we meal plan and prep with recipes and then get all the ingredients and make all the foods. No, boil a bunch of chicken in the Instapot, make some sweet potatoes on the side, have a bunch of vegetables steamed. There you go, done. Pieces of fruit, yogurt, done. Okay. So we were talking about, oh my goodness, what if my maintenance is 2,300 calories and I'm currently eating 1,200 calories? What do I do? Let's talk about it. So we want to audit for 10 to 14 days. Are you weighing everything? Are you logging on weekends? And are you logging alcohol? Are you logging snacks? Are you keeping steps consistent? are using a 7-day rolling weight average. So as we're starting to increase our intakes, we're getting up to maintenance. Okay. We're going to see the scale probably go up a little bit, likely not as much as you think. But let's say we get to that maintenance, right? Or we're in a deficit. Okay, let's do another example. Okay, Samantha, okay, she calculated her intakes at 2000. She decided that she wanted to do a 200 calorie deficit per day, which is solid for Samantha. Okay, so she's going to eat 1800 calories a day. She's tracking. Things are not, she's not losing. She's like, I was in a surplus for many, many months. I should be losing. What's going on? Chances are Samantha is grabbing the olive oil and just kind of, oh, that looks like it's about 5 grams, or grabbing the yogurt and being like, yeah, I mean, the container says 4 servings, and this was like, looks like a quarter of the container, so it's fine. Or, snacking on some mini chocolate chips while she's making dinner. That's gonna do it. And then also I want you to think about your rolling weight average. I wonder if I can share this chart with you. I wonder if it'll show up. Can you see that? Yeah, you can. So this is at the beginning of my current weight loss, and you can see it slowly going down. This is 6 months. This is 6 months, slowly but surely going down. That's the most painful thing ever. But that's how it should be. Now, if we look at from May to now, yeah, that's a 7 pound difference, but that's 1 pound a month. And so we need to be really strategic. Look at our averages. Okay, I want you to jump on the scale every stinking morning. It should be just a data point that we have. You jump on the scale in the morning, you get going with your day. You have some sort of app that just tracks it. Don't even look at it. And once a week on Saturdays or whatever, you look at your average. Okay. The scale is going to do all sorts of weird things at the end of your cycle if you're still getting a period. So, if you're doing body composition scans, I would recommend doing them before ovulation, like day 8 to 12 is usually best, 8 to 15 at max, because come day 15 plus, and especially day 20 to bleed, it's going to be all over the place. You can gain 5 pounds of water weight just like that. And if you're not tracking your weight every day, if you are not getting on the scale every day and tracking your weight, and you're doing it once a week, and it goes from 141 last week to 145 this week, you're like, screw this. I'm tired of this boiled chicken breast. This is not working for me. I'm out. Well, if you would have tracked every day and you would have just gotten on the scale every morning, it becomes so normal for you, right? That you're jumping on the scale every morning and all of a sudden you see your average. And between last week and this week, you're actually down 0.2 pounds, but you won't see that if you're only tracking once a week, right? Okay. I get very passionate about this because the more data that we have, the more decisions we're able to make. And it should become just so normal that it's a normal thing. And I think so many of us give up before the going gets good. Okay. Alcohol. You probably know my stance on alcohol, but I'll be really blunt. I hate it. I think it's stupid. I don't think you need to drink it in order to have a good time. I think it's better if we all just didn't drink. That's my personal take on it. If you choose to have alcohol, understand that we need to track it. It needs to be tracked, okay? So you're going to track it manually in MyFitnessPal. You're able to, this is mind-blowing. Listen up. You can look for fat macro and add it in manually. You can look up carb macro and add it in manually, and you can do protein macro and add it in manually. Every drink that you have is 25 grams of carbs, and you're going to track it manually, or you could track it as fat. I would highly recommend tracking it as a carb. Okay. And you got to track it. You have to track it. If you're eating out, which happens, right? We want to always choose a protein with a starch and a veg, and always ask for the sauces on the side. In fact, most recently I went to Mexico and I told them that I was sensitive to oils. That was the best decision I ever made because I ate avocados and olives and I got olive oil on the side and all my foods were fantastic. I highly recommend doing it this way. And if you want to check out the menu ahead of time, kind of pre-log out what maybe you'll choose so you can just strategize for the rest of the day what that looks like. Also asking them for grilled and roasted or steamed options. Even saying that you're sensitive to cooking oils will eliminate the fried things because you would be amazed at how many things are actually fried on the menu and you have no idea. In my travel kit, I always travel with protein powder, meat sticks, electrolytes. Lentils are a go-to for fiber. And if you're having high hunger days, let's say you're Samantha, you've decided that your 2000 calorie maintenance, you're going to go down to that 1800 calorie deficit. You're just hungry. It's the end of your cycle. You're just ready. I want you to start thinking about volume meals. Okay. So, specifically, volume meals. You've seen me eat them if you follow me on Instagram. Cabbage, kale. My dinner tonight was a volume meal, a big bowl of popcorn that I homemade, and kale and onion and bell pepper. I think there was some bell pepper in there tonight. Like it was a mound of food and that will keep you full. Like you need actual fullness in your stomach for a lot of us. Starting breakfast with 30 to 40 grams of protein is essential. This will change everything. Stop having the one or two eggs and thinking it's enough. It's not enough. Cutting back on liquid calories is another really, really good way to make sure that you are having more volume. Nut butters are dangerous. Okay. You can easily eat, I don't know, 60 grams of nut butter and call it 1 tablespoon when it's actually close to six. Um, and if hunger persists, say you get to the end of your day and you are just stinking hungry and you just need something, my favorite thing is something like a meat stick with a handful of almonds. That's kind of my go-to because it has both fiber and protein. And another question to ask yourself if you're just hungry in the day is like, did I drink enough water? Not the whole strategy of like, drink water before you eat something and make sure it's not thirst. Like, just assess, did I drink enough water today? And then asking yourself, is it actually food that I need? Or am I stressed or overwhelmed or anxious or exhausted? Okay, there's a question coming in. Should I still try to lose weight slow if I'm 80-ish pounds over my goal weight? Yeah, like if you are okay, let's kind of like wrap this up with the because I think we're almost done with the calories piece and I want to make sure that this makes sense. You've calculated out your maintenance calories. If you are under this amount, let's keep it really simple. Your maintenance calories are 2000. You've been eating in a deficit for 10 years. 6 months to 10 years at 1500 calories, you need to get to maintenance. The only way through this is to get to maintenance. So go to maintenance. Stay in maintenance for 6 months. During that time, walk, lift, have fun. We're going to talk about the movement side in just a moment. Okay. Um, if you've been eating at maintenance or above, then is a great time to do a deficit. Okay. Um, yes, we already talked about the check-ins and I will run out of time. So I'm going to kind of speed through the things that we've already talked about. We talked about the common logging mistakes, training. Let's get to it. So strength is a non-negotiable, non-negotiable. The common mistakes I see women make is endless circuits or drop sets. So if you're going from like 20 pounds and then 15 pounds and then 10 pounds or starting off at 5, 10, 15, you're not going to see progress. You're if you are taking like 15 seconds between sets, that's a big problem. 5 minutes between sets is a big problem. If you do cardio, if you are on an elliptical, a bike, any of those, rower, you're probably not on the proper plan for you. The most you should be on any of these machines is 10 minutes twice a week. And I'm going to talk about what that looks like. Um, yeah, these are the big mistakes and also program hopping. Ladies that are like, I don't know, I just like go to the gym or watch a video and do it and then I just try a new thing. You're never going to see progress on that. So, I've actually put together an entire program in these next samples. So, I want you to screenshot the next couple of pages because this is absolute gold, okay? We want to warm up. It should take maximum 8 minutes, ideally 5. Then We want to choose the right weight. I really want you to hone in on this. We need to lift, whether you do it at home, you do it at the gym. Nobody cares about you at the gym. I can tell you that. And if you are in your mind thinking, I need to get to a certain weight before I go to the gym, that is ridiculous. Get there, move your body, whether it's 10 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour, just getting it in. If you can't commit to going to a gym, order a couple dumbbells on Amazon and just start doing stuff. Choose 3 videos on YouTube that you like and do them consistently for 8 weeks and then change the 3 videos. What I want you to look at is we need to have a 1 to 2 rep in reserve. So let's just say bicep curls. Everyone knows, right? We're going to do like 8 of them. If I can do 8 of them really quick and good, and I could probably do 5 more, I'm not carrying the right weight. I need to go up in weight. When I get to that 8th rep, it should be like, oh my goodness, maybe I have 1 left in me. I'm not sure if I do. Then we know that we're at the right amount. And that should be every single set. Every single set. So how do we structure our lifts on a weekly basis? And you might be thinking, oh, I don't want to look bulky, or I don't want to commit to this. If you want to recomp your body and you want to look toned, you need to tone something. You need to tone that muscle. We can't look toned if we don't have muscle. We need to build muscle. And the way to do that is through hypertrophy, period. Like that's how you do it. Once you have that muscle, you can tone down with things like Pilates and extra sprints and more cardio, but we need to build that muscle. Okay, does that make sense? So ideally, we want to look for 3 to 4 full body sessions, a rest between sets that's like 60 seconds to 3 minutes, depending on what we're working on. And then the progressive overload. Okay, so if you've been on the same program for 8 weeks and none of your lifts have increased in weight or reps, then we're doing something wrong. Every couple of weeks, we should be able to do 1 more rep or add just a tiny bit more weight on. Okay, so in an upper body session, that's going to be about 2.5 to 5 pounds. And in a lower body session, that's going to be about 5 to 10 pound increase when we're going in. So let's kind of like go through what this could look like in a standard workout that could take about 30 minutes to 60 minutes, depending on how you structure it. So I want you to just screenshot all this because I'm not going to be going through every single movement, but this is a standard program that I would put together for a woman that wants to build muscle and start to recomp their body. Okay. So this is day 1, then day 2, then day 3, and day 4. Okay. So this is a standard layout of that workout. And I don't remember if I put, oh, sprints is next. Okay, sprints. You want sprints. You don't want cardio where you're on the elliptical for hours and hours and hours. You want sprints. Okay, so this is a sample of how you would put this program together. So again, day 1 and 2, day 3 and 4, a sample of what that week would look like and where to put our sprints. Sprints, let me tell you, if you are not doing them, they will change how your body looks. It is incredible. Now, I have worked with many individuals that have adrenal dysfunction and they're able to do sprints just fine. So let's talk about what this looks like. We're going to do a small warm up on either a track or a hill or a bike, a salt bike, a rower. You could try an elliptical, but it gets a little bit more challenging. And we're going to do a slight warm up for 1 minute. And then we're going to go all out, like all out for 20 seconds, as hard as you can. Like you're almost going to die, but just about to death. And then you're going to back off and you're going to recover. And then you're going to do it again really, really hard. And you're only going to do this for 6 to 8, maybe 6 to 10, depending on the procedure that you've tried with like bike or assault bike or rower, etc. And you're going to do that twice per week. All the other stuff of like walking on incline and you're just burning through calories that you don't need to be burning through. Okay. Sprint, I'm telling you, sprinting changes the game. Okay. So for sprinting, we want to focus on power, not fatigue. So if you're going on that bike and you're doing like an incline like this, that's not the goal. It's like all out as hard as you can, like as hard as you can, but not to the point of like fatigue area. It's more of power. Okay. That's why they're short bursts of 20 seconds. So when we're thinking about training in our cycle, you may find that if you're still cycling, that you are less strong or able to push higher loads in your luteal phase. That's often where people injure themselves. So if that's you, just back off a little bit. It's totally okay to do that. And as you're training, we want to start thinking about, when do I need a deload? A really great, like, the only thing I enjoy about my Aura Ring is that it tells me my HRV. Now, your HRV is basically a moment to moment variation of your heartbeat. Okay. So this is basically the reflex and responsiveness of your nervous system. So if you have a high HRV, you're recovering well, you're handling stress really well, and you're shifting like between rest and activity quite easily. Okay, so we want our HRV to be high. If you start to notice your HRV starting to go down, you can track this on a ring or a watch, then it's usually a good time to do a deload. Okay, and information on this slide about what a deload is. Okay. Oh my goodness, I hope you can stay with me for a little bit more than an hour, because I just have so much to share on this that it will be the way that it is. Like, I'm so passionate about this. Recovery is important. So we're eating well, we're eating at maintenance, so we've decided on a deficit, we've calculated all of that out. We need to make sure that we're sleeping, we're hydrating, like all those basic things that we just know to do. Okay. And as you start involving more of these workouts, you're training more, you're walking a little bit more, you're tracking your food. This is kind of the progression that we should see. Okay. We should see these changes. And if we're not, we need to go back to the basics. Do we need a deload? Are we on the right program? Are we doing sprints? Are we going hard at it? Are we tracking all of our foods? And this does not, like, once you get the hang of it, it truly does not take that much time. Let's finish up with recovery. We already talked about deloads, and sleep is absolutely essential. If you are not getting good sleep, we need to start here if you want to lose weight. We need to start here. And I have a really great solution I'm going to share with you in about 5 minutes on how to pull all this together. So here are a couple of ways that we can support our sleep. Obviously, no phones. Like after our session tonight, if you're on Eastern Standard Time like me, close the laptop, close the phone, go have a bath, or just go about your day with your family without the television on. We talked about HRV. So HRV is absolutely essential. All of us should know what our HRV is. We can track it with various tools. And if you start to see it dropping, it's a good idea to start reducing our training volume, adding extra rest, doing more mobility, focusing on getting outside, walking, touching a tree, that sort of thing. And active recovery days, like walking outside, putting your snowsuit on and just getting outside and breathing the fresh air and doing sauna and all those things can really, 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 really help your HRV. It is a huge sign that you're pushing on all cylinders and things are about to fall apart. We talked about deloads. So when we start to notice that our HRV is dropping consistently, it's a good thing to just plan a deload. A deload is really great because all we're doing is we're lowering our weights by about 30%. We're adding a little bit more sleeping, a little bit more walking outside. We're just cutting our normal movements. This is a great time to go on vacation. So oftentimes I will recommend when we're on vacation that we're just making it a deload to make it like less stressful when we're on holiday. Um, Hydration is absolutely essential. We're going to be talking about this as it relates to proper peptide therapies. And then nutrition for recovery. Okay, so we've talked about tracking our food, managing that food, understanding what we're eating. Then it becomes, how do we make sure that we are properly fueling our workouts? So whether you're doing it at home or you're going to the gym or you're just getting started with one workout a week, that's where I want you to start. We need to make sure that we are eating before we work out and after we work out. And some really key details on this. The amount of women I talk to that are like, I just did a fasting workout and I wasn't even hungry after, so I fasted until 2 p.m. That's not a flex. That is not a flex. Okay, we need to be properly fueling our body before and after our workouts so that our body has the proper all the things that it needs, the protein, the carbs, in order to properly recover and build the muscle that we just worked really hard on building. Okay, so if we're experiencing inflammation, we're overtraining, and some details on here about what that looks like. Just making sure that if we're experiencing a significant amount of inflammation, it's generally due to the fact that we're eating in too steep of a deficit. And also, recovery requires us to have proper digestive support. So if you're like eating in the car and doing all the things and like just not being present with your food, I encourage you to take your time, chew thoroughly, like really take your time while eating. And that can also help with recovery and your HRV and how you do your workouts and how overwhelmed you feel with your tracking and all the things. So here are some signs that we're doing a great job in recovering well. Okay, so if we're craving a bunch of things and needing caffeine and our strength is not moving, we're not recovering well, and ultimately that's an HRV problem. Now, I keep talking about HRV because it's actually very hard to recover from an HRV situation. And there's a tool that I've been using in my practice now for since about May that's worked really, really, really well. So we're going to talk about that in a couple of minutes, because when our nervous system is kind of janked in that HRV low process, there are a couple of reset tools that we can do. And if these aren't helpful, there's actually a supplement we can use to help in addition to the reset tools here. And this is important because when our nervous system is dysregulated, we are not going to lose weight. Okay, so it is essential that our HRV is high, our nervous system is regulated, and we're able to lose the fat, right? Okay, let's talk about, I want to make sure, yeah, okay. Peptides and recovery. So we talked about HRV. The number one peptide that I use for HRV recovery and have since May, with a couple of key individuals that I reached out to and was like, I know your HRV is totally in the tank. Can we try to use this peptide to recover it? And it has been absolutely incredible. Is a restored sleep peptide. Incredible stuff. Also, when we're just thinking about peptides overall, we're going to talk about that these are molecules that communicate with our cells. So unlike a supplement, like let's just pretend this is filled with magnesium, I'm going to drink it, and then my body is going to take that magnesium and do what it wants with it. If this is a peptide, this peptide is encoded with a message, basically, that when I drink it, it's going to tell the body, boost muscle repair, enhance metabolism, enhance energy regulation, improve HRV, replenish cellular hydration. Like it actually has those messages. That is far more potent of a process. So we're going to talk about how that relates to everything that we just covered when it comes to the tracking, the movement, and recovery overall. Okay. So the summary piece when it comes to recovery, I want you to take a screenshot of this before we get to the bioactive peptides and how that can play a role. We've talked about how when we're in a steep deficit and we're not losing weight, what do we do? When we're in a maintenance process and we're not seeing muscle gain, what do we do? When we're in any area of our journey when it comes to how we eat and how we move and we feel like we're doing everything right, I've used these bioactive precision peptides over the last year to kind of be that wedge that goes in there to give us a win. And so I want to finish off our call today over the next 5 minutes to just talk about these tools so you can assess whether or not any of these items would be good for you. And then I'm going to open it up to Q&A with, I'll just unmute you guys and we can talk about anything that you want to over the next 30 minutes. So bioactive peptides, like I said, they are messengers. They're basically amino acids that are structured together to message to your cells. Okay, so our natural peptides are going to decline with age and stress and poor sleep and everything else we have going on. And so supplementing with these basically tell our body what we need it to do. So our body is on the same side as our goals, and we're tracking and we're moving and we're restoring and we're all moving in the direction that we want to go. Okay, that's like the key, right? Like we have an idea, but our body has a totally different idea. We want to send that idea to the body and that message so that it knows what to do. And that's what we're doing with the bioactive precision peptides. So these peptides matter because as we age, our muscle strength and recovery starts to be not so great. We need deeper and restorative sleep because our hormones are a little bit imbalanced and we're not getting the same deep sleep that we used to. We want to have steadier energy and focus. We're not sleeping well, so therefore our energy is not the best. And then our focus kind of goes out the window. And then steadier hydration. Now, the interesting thing about peptides is that we need to have proper hydration so that message that we've gathered up in that peptide, right, is going to go to the cell. In order for the cell to receive that message, we need to be properly hydrated. Not just water, but proper hydration. And that comes with electrolytes. Now, electrolytes are really interesting too because electrolytes also help with the recovery, right? So not only are they helping with the peptide message, but they're also helping with the recovery as well. So I want to talk about the stack that I generally recommend when we have these different goals, and then you can kind of think about whether or not some of these items could be beneficial for you. Not essential at all. I just wanted to present you with all of the tools that I use in my practice and with clients and with one-on-ones and with customers so you can kind of gather up all the information and make decisions for yourself. So the Fit peptide focuses on muscle strength and recovery. If there is one peptide that I wish everyone could just give a try, there's a money back guarantee, so you can literally try it, and if you don't like it, you can get your money back, would be Fit. It supports literally all the goals that we've talked about and is just incredible. It's cheaper than a good collagen and works far better. Far better. So it supports lean mass, performance, recovery between your workouts. Even if you're not working out, the amount of recovery and HRV stim regulation has been incredible to watch. Now, lean helps with metabolic regulation. So it's really helpful when blood sugar is swinging all over the place. It promotes fat loss, it curbs cravings. Lean is really great. Remember when we talked about when we're in that steep deficit and we're trying to make it up to that top amount of our maintenance calories? Fit and lean together are so fabulous for this to balance things out. And hydrated is that cellular hydration. We talked about how peptides require proper signaling in order to work. So a good electrolyte, specifically with glycine that helps shuttle everything into the cell, is super effective. Now, restored, this is the magic sauce with the HRV. So previously we talked about these, where are they? These reset tools of regulating our nervous system. If you've done all this and you're like, Leanne, let me tell you, my HRV still sucks. Restored peptide is incredible for HRV. So 95% of the women that I walked through with on restored had the best sleep, and they're off the CBDs and the melatonins and the valerian roots and the various items. Okay, so this is some really, really good stuff. And not only does it help deepen sleep, but it also helps regulate HRV. Casey says, I've tried Fit and it's amazing. Yeah, it's amazing. It's truly amazing. If you're doing a collagen and you're like, I think this is so great for my health, Fit is way better and it's cheaper. Like it's just cheaper. So anytime I'm sharing these peptides, I think I put this here, but I'm terrible at doing this. I'll just put it in the chat. leannevogel.com/make. If you go there, you can see I've put together a little discount for you. So Fit basically is strength and recovery. Okay, we take Fit in the morning with or without food. This is not geared toward people who just work out, okay? Many of my clients who are 60 plus, even my parents are on this, okay? Incredible amounts of lean muscle maintenance while dieting. So in the example of Samantha, she was eating 2,000 calories, we dropped her down to 1,800. Samantha does not want to lose her muscle because muscle is everything. If she's in a deficit, she's more primed to lose that muscle. Let's bring in Fit so we don't lose the muscle that we've worked really hard on maintaining and building. Now, lean, like I said, it's going to regulate appetite, super helpful even when we're cutting and we're the type of people that are just always hungry. I love using lean. When I talked about the little chart on my phone and losing that 1 pound a month, that's lean because I like eating. I love eating. And eating is great. But when we're in a slight deficit, it's helpful to maintain the muscle with fit and not go crazy about the fact that we need more food, but we don't actually, but I really need more food. And there's just all that food noise. The lean really helps with that. And then hydrated, like I said, peptides need proper hydration to work properly. If you're going to put in the time and energy on the fit and the lean, the restored, and put together a bundle that works for the goals that we talked about, making sure that you're on a good electrolyte to make the peptides work really well is pretty key. And then restored. So this is a new peptide. It just came out, but I've had the honor of walking 45 women through this process over the last couple of months. And I've personally been on it since April to just see how this works so that when it did launch, I had like a good amount of understanding of does it lower cortisol and does it deepen sleep and how does it deepen sleep? What type of sleep? And the results have been next level. Like just incredible. If you want testimonials, I have many, many, many of them and screenshots from Aura Rings. It promotes an improvement in our HRV, which is our recovery, our nervous system, our ability to be ready for the day, where you get up in the morning and you're like, I'm ready for the day. I'm ready for the day. Like, do you remember that feeling? It supports mood and hormones and that nervous system balance, which is absolutely key. This has been so helpful for the women that are waking up between 2 to 4 and can't get back to sleep. And that is the worst torture. I get so grumpy when that happens. Like I want to kill my husband if he makes even a noise and wakes me up during that time and I can't fall back asleep. Restored has restored relationships. Okay. So here's the kit that I suggest putting together. Now, there is a special going on right now that is absolutely wild where you get lean for free. This is an $80 product that you get for free for life. This opportunity is only available until the end of the month. So, the Fit Lean Restored is coming in a kit that gives you lean for free. And then I would suggest adding hydrated. So when you go to leannevogel.com/make, you can get the lean for free when you add that bundle. So I'm going to actually put the bundle link in the chat here because I know I'm going to be asked for it. And then I will include it here. Perfect. Just so you have it. So that is the link to the kit. Okay. And then if you wanted to add the electrolyte, yes, lean would be free forever. Like, lean is free forever. Okay. So when you set up a subscription, okay, with that link that I just shared, you get fit, lean, and restored peptides, where lean is free forever. And then I would add hydrated to that subscription. So what I've done, it's very, very, very important to me that the individuals that I connect with peptides or otherwise, are highly supported. And because this is a newer thing and you're tracking and you're working out and you're adding these peptides and you're like, this is so much more than a supplement. Okay. I want to be alongside with you. So here's what I like to do for every customer that sets up a subscription. We check in every Saturday. I send you a text message from my personal number and I just say, yo, what's up? Here's the tip for the day. How are peptides going? And we have a conversation. Every month we do a masterclass. I'm actually hosting one tomorrow for all subscribers. So we just get to chat every month, go through Q&As, talk about areas. I always have a theme for the class. Last month was on sleep. The month before was body recomp. And we just do a theme every month. Um, and also starting tomorrow, or like now, I guess, because we're hosting this class, everyone who gets a peptide subscription is going to get this whole presentation in a book. Okay, so it's like a digital book. You can print it off. It has all the calculations and all the details that we covered tonight, and you can just like print it off or write on it or whatever you want to do. And then also, I've put together a guide on how to successfully start up peptides, when to take, how to take them, all the tips that I know about the structure of how to do it. And so when you get the peptides, I send you that as well. There's a money back guarantee. There's also a coupon code, give10, that I linked up to. And yeah, so I it takes a lot for me to plant my flag in something. If you've been following me for any amount of time, I am very hesitant to boldly recommend something. It takes a lot for me to trust a product, an idea, okay, because I know that trust is so essential to the success of my business and the relationship that we develop. Every single individual that gets a subscription of peptides, they have my number. In fact, all of you that join the call have my number because I invited you from my phone. So you have that number, and I want to walk alongside you with this. So if you've been like racking your brain and some of the calorie stuff that I touched on is helping you, and some of the tracking stuff that we kind of breeze through because we're already over on time, and the recovery stuff, all of this, you're just like, okay, there's a couple pieces here, but I want to really pull it together. Peptides are truly the way that I've seen do this in my own life too. Like, I've been on this journey of body recomp for the last 4 years. And it was about January, February timeframe, I started adding in the Fit Lean Hydrated consistently. In fact, I saw a friend at the gym and I haven't seen him in about 4 months. And he was like, Leanne, you look jacked. And I'm really trying. Like, I'm really pushing at the gym, but things just weren't coming together for me. And you might not want to look jacked. You just want to lose weight and you just want to like feel better and more confident and have your clothes fit. Then maybe don't push as hard at the gym than I am. But the Fit Lean Restored combination, along with the hydrated, I am telling you, is revolutionary. And I stand behind that. And it's really important to me. And if you want to move forward with that, we do the check-ins, we do the monthly calls. I have this guide for you. I have how to start. And I really want to walk alongside you and support you in this process. If you don't struggle with cravings, is lean worth it? That's a really good question. So lean helps not only with cravings, but blood sugar regulation, food noise, and fat loss. If you're thinking of one peptide, you're like, Leanne, I checked it out. I only want one. Do not choose lean. Okay. Fit and lean work great together. So if you're thinking about lean, I would get fit first. I've seen lean do wonderful things alongside fit, where fit is maintaining or building the muscle, depending on if you give it that stimulant, right? If you're working out, okay, right, you're gonna build the muscle. Fit's gonna help with that. Lean helps to cut down on the fat. Okay, so those two together are like happy little peanut butter and jelly type of situation. And then the restored for nervous system repair. But yeah, if you're in a losing weight season, fit and lean together, great. If you're thinking, hey, I want to do fit and restored, I would just get the lean for free because it's literally free right now with that link. Kate says, I'm loving how I'm feeling on Fit, Lean, and Hydrate. Me too. Me too. And peptides are not supplements. Peptides are peptides. They are messaging molecules. And so you might be thinking, oh, well, like I tried this powder or this thing and it didn't work. That was a supplement. This is not the same thing. You are telling your body what to do. So here is what we can expect. Now, I've said this many, many times. You're not going to jump on the scale in a week and be down 15 pounds. You don't want that. All these GLPs and all these options, we are losing muscle. Muscle is king. We want to maintain the muscle. So here's what I hear from individuals as I'm walking alongside them using these peptides. This is kind of the process. Stable energy, reduced cravings, improved hydration. Then we move into deeper sleep, calmer mood, better morning readiness. In fact, I had a lady the other day, she's like, I'm sleeping better and my husband told me I have a better mood and that's been really helpful for my marriage. Yes, right? Then we move into faster recovery, more strength in our lifts, wanting to go to the gym, feeling more confident to just get out there. We have energy, we're ready to go. And then by the 7 to 8 week mark, we should be seeing composition changes. I highly encourage you, this weekend, look up in your area, find out where you can get a body composition scan so you can see how much muscle do I have? How much fat do I have? After being on the peptides for a month, do another one. See how you're progressing because a lot of the muscle that we're building, it weighs more, all muscle weighs more than fat, and the scale might be doing wonky things. So it's really helpful to have that guide. If you already have an active subscription, you can actually change next month's subscription to include that free stack. Yeah. So this is kind of how we would structure the stack that I'm recommending with the fit, hydrated, lean, restored on a daily basis and how to take and maintain consistency. So I do fit and hydrated together in a bottle, usually with my morning like breakfast. Lunch is lean. That's usually after I get back from the gym. Around 11 o'clock, I'll have my lunch and I'll include lean. And about an hour before bed, I do my restored. And sometimes I add another hydrated, like sometime in there. Yeah. And so this is just kind of the progression that we can expect. We are like moments away from me opening up for tons of questions. And so, yeah, your next step kind of let's talk about, yeah, we already talked about this link, where to get it, all the things we can move on from there. Yeah, so here's the full summary. Track what matters, train for muscle, recover deeply, support with peptides. These four things. Now, we covered a lot today. So, of course, I'm going to send you the replay of this video. And when you purchase any of the peptide stacks, whether it's just fit or fit, lean, hydrated, or fit, lean, restored, or fit, lean, restored, and hydrated, I'm going to send you the PDF book of this presentation so that you can have it for yourself. Okay. And a true reset, we've covered this. These were the big ideas from the beginning of our call. You don't want the scale to move a significant lots. You don't want to be chasing exhaustion and thinking that that's progress. You don't want to be cutting calories at the cost of burning through muscle. You don't want to be just guessing what you're eating and you're like way off. Okay. These are the issues that I see time and 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 time again. So leannvogel.com/make, if you choose to do the peptides, I'm going to open it up to questions. I think we're like, yeah, thank you. I'm going to open it up to questions. And again, if you choose to get the peptides, a couple of items that I want you to think about is we get the weekly check-ins on Saturdays. We do the monthly masterclass sessions. The materials from today are going to be delivered in the PDF book. You can use give 10 at checkout for an additional $10 off. Okay, when you go to this website, leannvogel.com/make, everything is outlined there for you. If you have questions, you have my phone number, you have my email, just email me. And I'm going to open it up to questions right now about calories or tracking or whatever. So let's go. Questions for me. Let me just see. Yeah, okay. Amy, I'm gonna see if I can unmute you. Ask to unmute. Is this gonna work? Ba, ba, ba.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Hi.
Okay, so I have been in a deficit for probably 25 years. Let's be real.
Yeah.
And I cannot lose weight. And I'm on a peptide now. I'm on the GLP, I'm on tirzepatide.
Okay.
Before that, I did keto. And I have literally, even before I was on the GLP one, I have no appetite, like
Mm.
at all. So how do I build myself up to like a normal human being's food? Because I'm like on an average 800 to 900 calories a day. And I
Yeah.
would not eat anything if it was my choice.
Are you losing fat on the medication?
Yeah, I've lost
Fat.
54 pounds and I've only
Okay.
lost 3 pounds of muscle,
That's great.
which is
Okay. That's
crazy.
awesome. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I think too, when it comes to this, it's really a matter of like, what are my goals right now? Long term, I think it's going to be a problem long term living on 900 calories. And I think you
Yeah.
know that. And
Yeah.
so when you chatted with their prescriber, a conversation that maybe occurred or should probably occur is like, what's the plan moving forward? Like, because the medication you're on is going to cause you to not be hungry because that's the
Right.
whole point of it. Well, one of the
Right.
points of it. And so I think it becomes just what is my goal right now? The number one goal is it to lose fat? If that's the king goal, then
Mhm.
probably just stay where you're at and continue, but start having like an exit strategy of like what does it look like to lower my doses and maintain my progress and start eating more. And I would do that before you're completely off your medication because my understanding is that this isn't a forever medication and shouldn't be. And so
Mhm.
it just depends on, I would start thinking about what's your exit strategy and at what point do you want to start eating more. Now is maybe not the time for that if you're at full doses of what your prescriber wants you to do. And it might just be a matter of eating little right now, but fully understanding like there's only so much the body can handle. And right now you are in such a steep deficit. There are things that the body is not doing properly, like the regulation of hormones, your adrenals, hair
Right.
function, brain function, like long term. So I think you need to just ask yourself at what point am I not comfortable with being at this steep of a deficit, understanding that there are other things that are being affected by me not eating enough. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. So can I take these peptides when I'm on this stuff?
Yes, I'm glad that you asked. I actually have a huge group of customers that have chosen to maintain their GLP-1s, et cetera, while they're on the peptides. What I would suggest is the best stack is probably fit and restored and hydrated. I don't think you need the lean,
Okay.
because what you're doing right now is gonna kind of be okay on that. But the fit is especially helpful because it's going to help muscle protein synthesis and help increase that muscle maintenance that you're doing
Okay.
really, really well, and even muscle build through that process because we know that those medications will start to make it more challenging to maintain and even build muscle, which should be a high priority as you're losing weight. So fit,
Right.
and then the HRV piece because you're not eating enough, maybe at some point, sometimes people sleep suffers, so it's good to add in sleep support. And then with any peptide, even with the therapeutic peptides, we need to make sure that hydration is really important. So hydrated or another electrolyte could be helpful for just making that full picture. But yeah, fit, especially on those medications, absolutely essential.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you're so welcome. Totally. I don't know how to like un or like remute you. So if you could just do that yourself and then we'll see if somebody else has a question.
Let's see if I
'Cause
can do that.
yeah, I don't even. Oh, here we go. I got it. I got it. Okay. Thanks, Amy. Any other questions? Interested to start incorporating this while trying to figure out, yeah. So long COVID, that's a whole conversation for another time. Yeah, that's a whole other presentation. Do you have another 2 hours? I've done some podcast episodes on that. If you go to Healthful Pursuit podcast, just Google Healthful Pursuit podcast COVID, it'll come up. I have a question similar to Amy. Michelle, let me see if I can find you in the conversations. Do you want to raise your hand so I can see you maybe? Michelle with the, oh, yeah. Okay, let me see.
I got it.
Oh, hey
Can you
Michelle.
okay, hey
Hi.
there. How are you?
I'm good. How are
Um,
you?
good. Thank you for this wonderful presentation.
Oh,
And
yeah.
Amy kind of touched on what I would like to ask as a follow-up. So I've been on trizepatide for over a year. I never moved up from the baby dose of 2.5. I started
Okay.
at the baby dose because I just had 20
Smart.
pounds to lose. Most people looked at me like I was crazy, that I was taking it. But to be perfectly transparent, I have followed you for years. I've done keto, I've done Atkins, I've done sugar busters. My 31-year-old daughter now kind of has a body image complex because her mother was always yo-yo
Mm,
dieting, and I wanted to stop that, but I always had so much food noise that I thought about everything I put in my mouth and should I try this?
mm,
And I did juicing, you name it. So what's happened for me in a year with this trizepatide is it shut off the food noise. But I'm now taking it like once every 12 to 14 days. And
mm.
I'm thinking, okay, at what point can I jump and just stop, So this presentation was really helpful for me to try to introduce things. And of course, for a year, the doctor who's been prescribing it has said, go to the gym, go to the gym. And I think I've gone 3 times in a year. So you've kind of motivated me to get back to the gym and lift a little and start a program. But again, like Amy, I want to know if it's safe to introduce these and if you feel the fit, rest, and hydrate or restore and hydrate are the right ones. Um, and again, I probably eat a low calorie intake, but I'm all about protein. I don't know how to get my protein to that, 100 calorie or 100 grams of
Grams.
protein or whatever it is. Um, and I don't eat seafood. So I asked the question, like, I love the idea of boiled chicken breast, but my
Oh,
boiled chicken breast tastes nasty. So I want to know your secret.
okay. Okay, so boiled chicken breast. I literally just put it in the Instant Pot for 20
Okay.
minutes with like half a teaspoon to a teaspoon of salt. That's literally all. And I'm a hot sauce fanatic, so oftentimes I'll mix that in. But that's how I make the boiled chicken breast. Now, I wish that I could afford like the wild pastures chicken, but I literally just buy Kirkland Costco chicken and
That's what
I
I
love
buy.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I buy. I enjoy it. So the protein intake, egg whites are a great one with eggs. The chicken breast, filet mignon is my steak of choice because it's lean enough, but it's high protein enough, and I eat that. If you do fish, I know you said that you don't, but people listening, my favorite ones are like cod or the safe catch tuna, salmon, those sorts of things. But that's kind of how I rotate out those proteins. For the food noise for you, Michelle, because you mentioned food noise and wanting to get off the GLPs and such, lean might actually be a great one to start with if you're thinking,
Okay.
I want to go off of this and I had a lot of food noise. I have clients do, now I think the box says 2 caps at your largest meal. I kind of just do whatever customers need, so it's kind of all over the place. So with individuals with a significant amount of food noise, I generally recommend 2 caps in the morning, one at lunch, and that's usually enough to keep the food noise to a minimum for most people, especially as they're coming off. So for you, it's kind of like a lever, right? It's like stay on your medication, bring in the lean, kind of get things regulated, drop down medication if the prescriber says that that's okay, start to increase food, kind of monitoring things. Like it's not
Mhm.
a rip out this thing, pull in this, and kind of see what happens. That's never a good idea for any changes that we're making. So we just want to kind of keep you at this happy state where you know that you're going to want to go off this medication. So now's the time to start thinking, why did I go on this? Great conversation to have. Well, it was because of the food noise. What other options do I have for food noise? Right. So some of it is emotional sometimes for individuals, and other times we need to bring in like physical supports. And I think lean
Mm.
could be a really good option for you, specifically for the food noise aspect. And then fit, obviously, like if you're getting back to the gym and you want to start working on that muscle and maintaining it and continuing to get leaner, those two kind of work really, really well together. Does that answer
Oh,
your question?
yes, absolutely. And last question, how do you feel about this kind of thing?
Oh, I hate it.
Okay. So if
Okay.
if if I'm running out the door in the
Yeah.
morning and I don't
Yeah.
have time, what's my go-to ready to drink shake? Is there
Yeah.
one you like?
Totally, yes. So that Premier Protein and a lot of other options, they're like filled with literal trash.
Okay.
So I would choose your favorite protein powder. One that I really, really like is something called Pure Paleo by Designs for Health. It's a beef isolate protein. It's a complete protein, unlike collagen that's missing tryptophan. It has a pretty good amount of leucine. So what I do when I need that quick protein like available is I'll shake it up in shaker bottles in the fridge like the night before, and
Mm-hmm.
I'll just have like dairy-free milk in it or water, and I'll just take that with me. And that's
Okay.
a couple of ingredients, not 500 million, including sunflower oil. Like it,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Got it. Thank you.
totally. Yeah, no problem. Okay, next question. I asked one about the business opportunity. Yeah, so with peptides and such, I don't want to really cover that on this call. I really want to focus on like the tools that we can use for metabolism. But if you love the peptides and you are in love with it and you want to share it with absolutely everyone, we can talk about what that looks like. But yeah, feel free to message me. That's really not my goal is two-pronged. One, I have clients one-on-one that need one-on-one support. And then I have thousands of ladies, like everyone joining today, that's like, I need tools that actually work, that you've tested, and I trust you. And that's what I've put together today. And that's really, really important to me. And that's really what my main focus is all the time. We'll look up the podcast. Should I wait to start this until long COVID is figured out, or will this help? So long COVID again is like a way bigger topic. I have had individuals with long COVID do the peptides just fine. Fit is especially helpful for mitochondrial function. So generally in the cases of long COVID, we do have mitochondrial dysregulation. So fit could be helpful. Hydrated would definitely be helpful. Restored would be super awesome. Fantastic. Yes, please. For sure. 2 thumbs up from me. Yeah. Okay. Okay, a question. Should I just add the new bundle and end my Fit subscription? Would this be the easiest way? So if you currently have a peptide subscription, the easiest way is to create to adjust your current subscription to include the new bundle and remove anything you don't want anymore. Another great benefit of being a customer with peptides is you can literally just give me your passport. No, I don't want your passport. I want your password to your Make account, and I'll just do it for you because I make these edits like day in and day out. So if that's something you need help with and you can't figure it out, I'm happy to help you. Just send me a text. You have my number. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions at all? I literally boiled a thing of chicken breast, and my husband will be home in 30 minutes. He literally hates boiled chicken breast, but sucks for him because I'm the one who makes food. Okay, any other? I have chronic inflammation. Do peptides help? Renee, I'm so glad that you asked. Let me tell you, actually, I wonder if I can just share it with you. Do you want to nerd out for a second? I love this. Let me find it. Clinical results. Okay, let me share this screen with you if I can figure it out. Share. Come on. We were doing so well. I just felt so like, nope. Oh, darn. There we go. There we go. I got it. I got it. Okay, I'm going to share the screen with you real quick. When I started using the peptides in my practice, I had a bunch of individuals who wanted to trial them out as I was getting started. And I did all their blood work and then followed them for months and months and months and figured out kind of how these peptides were adjusting their markers in their blood. These were the results. So cool. One of the areas was inflammation control. So in Fit, there is a peptide called TIKIPAGT. Okay, the Ticky Pact, if you want to say it out loud. So, this peptide cuts TNF alpha secretion by 55%. So, when I started tracking their CRP over an 8-week process on Fit peptide, these people were on Fit, lean, hydrated for a minimum of 8 weeks. The baseline was an average of 4.8 in their CRP, which is one of the ways that we track inflammation in the blood work. After 8 weeks, it went to 1.9. It was a 60% decrease overall. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. So these were the results. I put it in here. It was a group of 35 women. No other interventions were made. Like these were individuals. I said, I don't want you to change diet. I don't want you to change what you're doing for movement. I want you to just like do what you do and then just add fit, lean, hydrated. And these were the results that we saw. Now, ferritin is another marker for inflammation. And on average, the baseline was 150. It went down to 75. I think it was like 75.4 or something like that, but I just rounded to 75. That's a 50% reduction. So that's less iron-derived oxidative stress, essential. As women stop having cycles, our ferritin starts to increase and it drives up that inflammation like crazy. This is so cool. So yeah, thanks for nerding out with me on that. So fit is the one that I would use for inflammation. And again, all peptides require proper hydration. So I would add at least hydrated to that. Next question. I added the bundle and then deleted the fit and restore that were already on the bundle. Yeah, cool. Okay, so if you need, great question. With ferritin, it's not, so ferritin is required, but when it starts to drive up, it is because of inflammation. But the fit peptide is not going to cause ferritin to be lower. What fit peptide does is reduce the TNF alpha pathway, which causes ferritin to be elevated. So if you have inflammation, it's going to lower it, and therefore an elevated ferritin, which is causing oxidative stress and more inflammation, will reduce, but it's not going to cause ferritin to be lower. Does that make sense? Yeah, really cool results. I think I got all of the questions. Yes. Any others? Okay, there's one more. I had inflammation, but low ferritin, so supplement with iron. Yeah, so the ferritin iron conversation is bigger. Ferritin is a great marker for iron, but you need TIBC, UIBC, iron, hemoglobin to assess for iron need. A big issue I see is individuals on iron supplementation where they do not need to be on iron supplementation, and it drives more inflammation and more issues long term. So I think I did a podcast on this too. I already feel like I take so many supplements, but I do want to look at what it will cost. Ooh, I'm so glad. Let's get into this, and this will be the last question because I've literally been taking up way too much of your time, but I truly love this and I could hang out with you for 400 hours. So let's go through each peptide and the supplements that they replace. Okay. So going back to each of these guys. Okay. So fit, because it helps with muscle recovery, inflammation. Anything that you're taking for muscle recovery and inflammation can be reduced. Things like curcumin, um, turmeric, I would put berberine in the lean pile. Like if you're doing berberine, lean will cover it. If you're doing like amino acids or BCAAs, fit will cover it. Hydrated, I find, is a great replacement to collagen in conjunction with the fit. And hydrated fit together are far more effective than the collagen. Restored will replace the 5 different bottles of things that you take before bed to try to help you sleep through the night and still wake up halfway through the night. And remember, peptides are messenger molecules. They're not supplements, so they work far more effectively. And so a lot of the times it's a matter of just like that teeter-totter. I think I was talking with Michelle about this, is like as you start to incorporate the fit and you see the inflammation is down, going through your supplements, and you should know why you're taking each supplement. You should know, I'm taking this, and this for inflammation. If I start taking fit, let's start the fit and then see if we can get off all 4 and have better results and be on less. Does that make sense? I'm also taking HRT soon after my blood work comes back. I'm guessing that would be okay. Yes. So I find that I have many clients on the restored and progesterone because we find that as we age, we need some people choose to be on progesterone to help with sleep. Restored and progesterone, totally fine. I haven't seen any issues. With thyroid issues, specifically Hashimoto's, there is an ingredient in the Calm, which is a support product. We didn't really talk about it tonight, but if you're like, ooh, Calm, that sounds great, I want that. Lemon balm has been shown in some studies to affect thyroid uptake when we're taking desiccated thyroid. That's really the only supplement that I would perhaps avoid or be cautious of if you were to get Calm and have Hashimoto's. It looks like hypothyroid without Hashimoto's. It's okay with the lemon balm, but Hashimoto's and the medications, it can sometimes affect how the medications work. So that's really the only thing. And do these products need to be taken long term? So I am about 3 pounds away from maintaining at my new weight, and I will probably stop with the lean. I will continue with the fit because I want to maintain muscle, and you will take hydrated out of my cold dead hands. I'm never going to stop with that electrolyte because it doesn't bloat. So many electrolytes bloat, and it actually hydrates. I don't have to drink as much and just always feel parched. Restored, I find very helpful for once you get the hang of Restored and you take it about an hour before bed. There are some nights where you just know you're going to have a good sleep. Do you know those nights? And other nights where you're like, this is going to be a mess if I don't take something. So I find for women that are still cycling, generally, I'll recommend that we take Restored from about cycle day 18 to bleed. And I find sleep gets a lot better once we bleed. And so you can kind of be more intuitive with that. But if you've experienced menopause or you're in the later stages of perimenopause, you might want to do Restored like every night for a while until you get used to it. But you don't need to be on them forever. It's not like, with the GLPs that we were talking about, et cetera, where you take it out and then there's this bounce back effect. It teaches the body how to use these messages and then uses those messages, and the progress that you make is not going to be like recycled after you go off of it. Yeah. Gotcha. You recommended it for me, so I'm good and I feel better. I'm so glad. I'm trying to set up a new account, but it says both my email and phone are unavailable. Can you send me a quick text? Did you get the text from me? I have an idea on that, and I could totally help you with that, like for sure. Yes, I will. Brianna. So I'll look and see if I have our text open. I think I know your last name, but if you could just send me a quick text. And then I'll reset your account for you. If you ever have account issues, I have like a total in with IT and I get things fixed really fast, but I have an idea on how to fix yours in like 5 seconds. So just send me a text. I don't see one coming in, but is this, oh yeah, okay, it's you. Okay, I'll message you right back when we're done with the call. Cool. Okay, I'm checking for any other messages. Okay. I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna call it. Okay. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. This was so great. I'm so glad that we got to spend time together. And like I said, you have my phone number, you have my email. I'm gonna send you the recording. And if you have any questions, feel free to just send them over. If you decide to do peptides, cool. If you don't, that's fine too. You have my Instagram and we can chat on there about anything you need. And I love that we got to do this. And it won't be another 1500 years until I do it again, or maybe it will. So have a great evening, everyone. Okay, bye.